So this is an old story. You might know it. I've borrowed the words from the poem. It was battered and scarred, and the auctioneer hardly thought it worth his while to waste much time on that old violin. But he held it up with a smile. "What am I bid for this old fiddle?" he said. "Who'll start the bidding for me?" $1, $1, $2, $2, who'll make it $3? $3 once, $3 twice, going for. But then from the back of the room, the gray-haired, bearded man came forward to pick up the fraying bow and took the instrument in hand, wiping the dust from the old violin. Tuning up the strings, he played a song pure and sweet, as sweet as the angels can sing. The music ceased, and the auctioneer, with a voice that was quiet and low, said, "Now what am I bid for this old antique violin?" And he held it aloft with bow. $1,000? Do I hear two? 2,000, who'll make it $3? 3,000 once, 3,000 twice, gone, said he. And the audience cheered, but some of them cried. "We just don't understand what changed its worth." Swift came the reply, "Was a touch of the master's hand." And many a man with his life out of tune, all battered with bourbon and gin, is auctioned off cheap to a thoughtless crowd, much like that old violin. A pot of stew, a glass of wine, a game, and he travels on. He is going once, going twice, he is going and almost gone. But the fact of the matter is the foolish crowd can never understand the worth of a soul and the change that is wrought by the touch of a master's hand. So, for the past 3 weeks, I've been talking about the principle of starting from completion. the notion that the whole is much larger than the sum of the pieces. I use the metaphor of the jigsaw puzzle. This nice little jigsaw puzzle's got 1,000 pieces in it, and when it's laid out on the table and worked with a fair amount of patience, probably more patience than I've got, you get this nice little picture of puppies. Now, these puppies are very nice and very sweet. They're not at all like my puppies. The puppies we got at home, Ito and Zoe, are cute too, but they also have bodily functions that don't always work on my schedule and in the way I'd prefer. They need to be fed, they need to be walked, they need to be, and sometimes I get mad at them. They're not this kind of, they're a puzzle. How to be in relationship with my puppies is often puzzling to me. Similarly, I've got this picture of my life at some level. This is a picture that was taken some years back when I still had hair and had a... the headshot, with the contact information. It's when I was still traveling around a lot. And there's a part of me that still thinks of myself as that young hotshot player all full of himself with the head full of hair and singing only positive songs all the time because I was always cheerful and upbeat. But that was 25 years ago. And the me that I am today is a completely different puzzle. He contains this guy too. I'd like to think he's still here, but there's also other things that have happened in my life since then. And if I try to make my life today fit using the pieces of the puzzle that I think I should be, I'll invariably not have a whole thing together and drop pieces all over the place and feel frustrated because my picture does not match the reality of the life, of the situation I'm in. As Krishnamurti says, each of us has an image of what we think we are, what we should be, and that image, that picture, prevents us from seeing ourselves as we actually are. And what we actually are from the metaphysical perspective is whole, perfect, and complete. If we're willing to see ourselves as that and feel that, rather than trying to make our life be all pretty the way it is in that imaginary picture in our minds. If I accept that my puppies are just the way that they are, rather than trying to make them fit some picture of how they should be or could be if they were perfect, if I can accept myself just the way I am instead of thinking of myself as how I used to be or how I should be or could be, then I have an opportunity to experience peace, which is all I'm really longing for when I'm striving for that picture in my head. So the question becomes, what do I do with all these pieces that don't quite fit the way I think they should when my puppies misbehave? When my teenage son has a different idea of what he should be doing than what I think he should be doing. When the celebration circle is doing things that I wish it weren't doing. Or if I find myself sitting here thinking, oh, there are not enough people here this morning. This celebration circle, it's not fitting my picture. Instead of just being in the magic and power of this moment. So my question is that I've asked myself, what can I do when I find myself once again picking up the pieces, or more commonly looking at them longingly, wishing that they were something other than they were? And I answer my own question with a 4-step process that many of you heard before and that I tell myself all the time, but I keep repeating over and over because I want to integrate it into my life. And the first step is to simply be aware. Turns out it's the hardest step, actually. The second step is to be accepting of the situation as it is. The third step is to align with the divine, and the fourth step is to allow. So that first step, becoming aware when the pieces don't match up to what I'm thinking. And I'm running around in circles again. We're running around in circles again, trying desperately to make the pieces fit exactly the way we want them to, is the point of awareness, to catch ourselves saying, uh-oh, I'm frustrated again, I'm sad again, I'm scared again, I'm mad again. Just to catch it. That's the first step. You can't fix a flat tire until you know you've got one. The second step is to be accepting of your awareness, to recognize, oh, here I am, feeling these things again. And that's perfect, because there is no place else I could be other than where I am. I might as well accept it, and not just accept it, but embrace it and give thanks for it. We spoke something about the process of gratitude last week. The notion that it's very easy to be grateful for a sunny day and for a happy hug from a happy friend. It's not so easy sometimes to be thankful for a cold, rainy day, or when your friend is in the hospital dying, or X. There's something that has interrupted my joy, and I've given it my energy. There is real power in being grateful for it anyway, with the understanding that there is something very valuable for me, even in my discomfort. Being grateful for the situation just the way it is very powerful, and makes room for the third step, which is to align with the divine, to let go of my little picture and not just open up into the big picture, but beyond that, open up into the willingness to not have any picture at all. Open into the mystery, open into the goodness, the godness. And at some level, it makes no sense to even talk about this step, because the process of opening to the divine, of aligning with your higher power, is different for each one of us. I happen to be a mystic, very comfortable with the notion that I have a deeply personal relationship with an impersonal God that I don't understand at all. As much as I try to understand my God, as much as I've studied theology, and I've studied theology pretty much full-time for 30 years. This is my work, my passion, to understand my place in the sacred and the sacred within me. And the more I study, the less I understand, but the deeper my faith is. That's my faith journey. There are others in this room who might find it easier to open to the divine by counting rosary beads. Others who might find more comfort or more possible to open to the divine by doing ecstatic dance with the Sufis, or reconvening the circle of the goddess and doing sacred ritual, or hardest of all, the Zen folks who just have to sit there in silence and not move and not think. I don't know. I never did understand that path, although I've been working with it almost full-time for 30 years. So again, the notion is that as I open beyond myself from a place of gratitude, I'm aware of what's going on in my life. I'm aware that the pieces don't match the puzzle, and once again, I'm scared or frightened or sad or off in my head. Accepting of it and grateful for this opportunity to remember that there's something wonderful here for me, and I don't know what it is, and I don't like it. I'm confused by it, but I'm grateful for it anyway, because here I am in this opportunity, in this moment, which is an opportunity to do what? To open to the third step, which is to align with the divine, which is where the sweetness is for me. And again, your particular faith journey may have led you to an understanding of what that means, but if not, I invite you to consider this possibility. Consider the possibility of opening to the divine, aligning with the divine by just doing nothing except feeling willing. Just willing. That's just it. That's all it takes. The New Testament scripture says, seek and you shall find, knock and the door will be opened up to you. If I, stop talking to you, I'm just talking to myself and you're eavesdropping on my conversation. If I am willing to simply be willing for something other than my own understanding to emerge, to turn it over to the higher power of my understanding in the silence for just a moment, then there's room for life to work. As long as I'm hanging on to my picture, as long as I'm saying, I'm aware of it, but I'm not accepting it, I'm going to change her, I'm going to change the checkbook, I'm going to make my back be better, I'm going to will my friend to keep living, it's pretty much a recipe for disaster. But if I'm willing to come from a place of gratitude and give up my limited understanding and move into an openness and a willingness to be shown a different perspective, every single time life provides a clue in my experience. And sometimes a cue is as simple as the silence itself. And nobody talking for a second and just realizing, oh, it's been a long time since I've just been silent. What am I doing in my life? Sometimes the phone will ring at the most amazing time, or a friend will emerge from the bathroom just as you're going in and you bump into each other and they're exactly the person that you need to see and you hadn't planned to see, and something amazing can happen. There is no telling what will happen in that mysterious space that opens through my willingness to be open. Once upon a time, not that long ago, in a place not that far away, a little 6-year-old girl saw her mom leaving for work again. She said, Mama, what do you do every day when you go to the university all day long? And the mom said, well, I'm an art professor, so I teach grown-ups how to draw and paint. The little girl said, you mean they forgot how? We forget that each one of us is an artist, that each one of us is a dancer, each one of us is a philosopher, each one of us is whole, perfect, and complete. But we come together again and again to be reminded, to remember and surrender. At least that's why I'm here. That's my story. I'm sticking to it.